Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to show you some things that will come in real handy if you have to ride out a hurricane. Alright, with the impending hurricane coming in today, I figured it would be a good time to do this. But this video is pretty much timeless. These are items that you could use and things you might want to stock up last minute. You still have a day about for the current hurricane, and these are things you might want to think about buying ahead of time if you live in hurricane country. So what I'm going to do with this video is I'm going to take things away as I show you them. That way it'll make it a little easier for me to show you other items and bigger items, and there's some items I just can't show you because they're just too big. So we're going to start off with water. You want water. How you choose to store it's up to you. You can buy water bottles if they're still for sale and not sold out. You can get 55-gallon drums. You can store them in these 5-gallon things. Whatever you want to do, you want to get some water. Water won't last you forever unless you stockpile a whole lot. You might want to think about water filters. Here's a little Sawyer Mini. They're like $19 at Walmart. And here's one I recently reviewed that's a triple filter. This is the SurvivorMate filter. So you're definitely going to want some kind of way to filter your water as well as store it. All right, moving on. Next thing is going to be some food. You want some food to be able to keep yourself fed while the stores are closed, the power's out, whatever. You can go freeze-dried, and that's more of a long-term. We're talking like last-minute preps here. So you probably won't be able to get that unless you have a specialty store near you that sells it. But simple canned stuff from your local store will do perfectly, okay? And that stuff is definitely going to have enough shelf life to last a week or two after a hurricane. Another thing people don't think about, sometimes when all this stuff has gone off the shelves, people forget to go to the sporting goods section and pick up freeze-dried entrees. Never know. You'd be amazed at what you find during an emergency where people don't think of what to buy. As always, store what you eat what you store. Make sure it's stuff you like. You don't want to be eating stuff you don't like or you're unfamiliar with, or maybe will give you some bad gastrointestinal symptoms during a hurricane or emergency. Okay, next up is backup power. Everybody knows I got a solar generator I've built on the side here. I got, backup solar power. If you have a generator, you want to store gas, store it safely. 5 gallons in your garage, not a big deal. People usually store that for a lawnmower. 50 gallons in your garage just starts approaching a big deal. So you want to be very careful the way you store it. But here's a simple way to get some power during an emergency that doesn't cost a fortune. This is one of those black web. I believe it's a 20,000 milliamp power bank. And here's a 20-watt solar charger panel, okay? This folds out. There's your panel. Got the cables in there already. And you have a way to charge up anything USB. And that includes your flashlights, tools, anything else that's rechargeable. And a word on cell phones, yeah, they're a little more reliable than they used to be. I believe they upped the emergency power that they're required to have from like 6 hours to 8 hours. I don't know, they recently upped it. But don't depend on your cell phone for communications. It may not work. You may get flooded out. It may get wet. It may get destroyed. The towers may be down from flooding. So let's move on to the next item. All right, next item is going to be lights. Your flashlights. You've seen me review those two guys here. These are from Hacks Tech. A good backup flashlight, LED. If you're experienced and you know what you're doing, if you're a brand new prepper and you've never used one of these Coleman lanterns, these pump-up lanterns, you probably don't want to do that. You probably want to, stick with your LEDs. And it's also a fire hazard, and during an emergency, the last thing you want is a fire in your house. But make sure you have some kind of flashlight and some kind of way to light up your house. The neat thing about this particular one is it's also a power bank, so you can recharge your phones with it as well. And you can charge all of these off of that solar panel. So you have a way to get light when it's dark. Let's move on to the next item. As you can see, the table's getting a little more clear now. It's a little bit better. A good first aid kit, okay? If you don't have one already, go out and buy one. And I normally don't recommend store-bought first aid kits, but in this situation, if you don't have a lot of time and you're trying to prepare, get the biggest, most decent one you can get. Sam's Club, Costco sells awesome first aid kits for just homemade stuff. I'm going to just open this up. I did a video on this one. This is a roll-up. Now you can go as big or small as you want with your first aid kit. I have so many different first aid kits, it's not even funny. But this is one that I carry that's portable with me. I can toss it in the car if I'm doing a ham radio event or something, and it rolls up really, really nice and small. So definitely want to look at a first aid kit. If you take some kind of prescription, speak with your doctor. Maybe they'll be cool and give you a few extra, another week's supply before a hurricane or something. It's always a good idea as a prepper to have, if you have any kind of medications or any kind of conditions that you take medication for, to have a little bit extra. Let's move on. All right, next up, you're going to want a way to cook all that food you just put away. I live in a house that's all electric. When the power goes out, I have no way to cook. So, of course, this is again a representation. This is a little propane isobutane stove. But a couple of these, $14 each. A dual Coleman type stove, like some of the ones I found in that I've restored from thrift stores. Anything. Heck, those old butane stoves that take these things. The single burners that take these, that you just stick in. So you're going to want a way to cook, okay? And when you're doing cooking indoors with gas or any kind of propane or anything, please be careful. Have adequate ventilation. Don't seal yourself into a tiny little room. This is where MREs can come in handy, because MREs have a heater that doesn't require any heat. You just pour water in it. It's an exothermic reaction, heats up your food. But we're talking about last minute prep, so we're going with what we can grab in the store at the last minute. If you store these, make sure you store fuel. Same with your generator, make sure you have fuel for it. These are just some random types of fuels. Again, just a representation of what I quickly grabbed off my shelves in my storerooms. So we can see what they look like, and cheap enough to buy and stock up and have ready to go for any kind of hurricane. So let's move on to the next item. Tools of any kind, okay? From a multi-tool up to a drill to a chainsaw, whatever. If you can grab a few, if you don't have them, they're definitely going to come in handy for you. Something like this, you can put wood on your windows. You can drill it in with the drill. These kind of things come in handy for God knows what. I mean, there's so many uses for a multi-tool. Anyway, make sure that if you do have tools that are powered by batteries, you have them topped off and charged up. This one's kind of low on this one, but I'm not in a hurricane zone. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere in Nevada, but I do have other batteries that are set up and ready to go for it. So make sure you have your tools and make sure they're maintained, fixed up, charged, and ready to go. This one's going to probably be the most simple. A simple tarp. Okay? Now, I would suggest multiples of these. Maybe 3 or 4 of the biggest ones you can find. The reason I say the biggest ones is because they can be cut down to cover things. If you have one that's like 30 feet by 30 feet, I don't think they make them that big, but regardless, and you have an 8-foot hole to cover, you can cut it down to 8 feet by 8 feet and cover the hole. Remember, these are disposable items in a situation like this. Very handy to have. They can keep your wood floors from getting full of mud, full of crud. If you have a roof leak, you can put this down on the floor, keep things from getting wet. But they also can cover holes in roofs, holes in the side of your house. God knows what, flying debris breaks a window in your living room, you can cover it up. Also, too, nails, screws, and wood. I'm not dragging out my plywood supply or my nails and screws for this video, but you get what I mean. Make sure you got that stuff. If you can grab it at the last minute, that's something that does disappear pretty quick, but tarps do not. They usually sit on the shelf. I've seen lots of stores that have been picked over, and they usually sit on the shelf for a long time. Let's move on to the next item. All right, this next item, you're probably thinking, what the heck is he showing us? This is an ice maker, okay? You do not need to go out and buy an ice maker. This is just a representation. Get ice. Get bags of ice. Stick it in your freezers and your refrigerators for now, especially in your freezers, not your refrigerators. It will melt. If you do have a way to make your own ice, you're going to become very popular with your neighbors. But definitely stockpile some ice. Fill up your bathtub with it if you can. Whatever you can do, make sure you get a couple of bags of ice and load it up in your freezers so that your food, if the power goes out, your food won't go bad for a little bit longer. All right, here's the part that either people love or hate, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. You're going to need a way to protect yourself. Situations like these bring out the worst in people. They bring out looters. They bring out trouble. Know your local laws. Know what's legal for you to do. I'm showing as a representation here my handgun and a shotgun. You don't have to go out and spend a fortune. A shotgun is probably your best bet for home defense. If you're not familiar with handguns, and again, know your laws. I don't want to harp on it too much because I know YouTube isn't too keen on showing guns, but I'm just showing them. But get yourself some kind of home defense, be it a bat, a big machete, anything. Make sure you have a way to defend yourself and your family from anybody who thinks they're going to take away what you've stored. All right, next up, some kind of bug-out bag. You may have to leave your home at some point. Even if you decided to ride it out, after it's over, your house may be flooded, you may need to be rescued, whatever. You need a bag with supplies in it. I've done numerous bug out bag videos. Make sure everybody has a bag of their own. This is more of a long-term thing. Probably won't be able to do this at the last minute. Maybe you'll be able to build one for your family. And again, it should have food, water, cordage, shelter, the basics. So definitely going to look at needing some kind of bag that you can carry all your gear should you need to be evacuated or leave. Now, it's probably pretty warm where you are if you're going to be having a hurricane, but a good idea is to stock up on some firewood. I have a little extra out here that I keep stocked up. We have a fireplace, and pretty much that's what its purpose. I'm not going to use this for anything else other than for what I do in videos. But having a little extra firewood on hand, if you have a fireplace and a safe way to burn it, isn't a bad idea. Let's move on to the next item. Next item is going to be some form of communications. An AM, FM radio, shortwave radio, doesn't matter. This one happens to be kind of over the top, but it's just a spare that I have out here. You wouldn't need something like this, a simple little portable AM, FM handheld radio, just so you can get the information on what's going on locally around you. What I have here is from RCA. This is a mini digital TV. Since we've all gone digital, a lot of your old little pocket TVs aren't good anymore because they're analog. This one will receive all your local TV stations. It is a bit of a battery hog, so you may want to look into getting the adapter, but it's an awesome little thing. And to be able to have a small little digital TV like that is definitely a cool thing. So, and for ham radio operators, of course, we're going to have all our radio gear, our scanners, all that other stuff. If you're a ham operator, make sure all your batteries are charged. Make sure your go bags and your gear is ready. You may be called on to deploy. But for your average person riding out a hurricane, a good AM, FM radio, and maybe even a mini digital TV, and by the way, these are all over Amazon, little mini digital TVs, not like this one, but they're all over. So definitely an invaluable tool to keep you informed on what's going on around you. All right, lastly and probably most important is sandbags. I know the government gives them out. You can always manage to pick a few up when there's an emergency, but you can also order them online by the case, and they're dirt cheap. I think the last time I bought sandbags, it was something like 2,000 of them for $25 or something. It was quite a while ago. So I keep about 50 or 60 in my house filled at all times. I keep them behind the wall there where the ice maker was that I showed you. Very handy to have if there's a bad rainstorm, but if you're going to ride out a hurricane, you definitely want these set up and ready. You can build a little break around your front door. You can use them to stop water coming in under a door. We've actually used them for out here for that reason, where I took you over to the Firewood, that door there. Sometimes if there's a bad rain, it'll drip in a little bit. I stick a couple of these at the door, completely stops it. Now, you're not going to stop 30 or 40 feet of storm surge, but it might help keep some water out of your house. All right, so that's pretty much the end of the video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Those of you in the affected areas that are coming into a hurricane, please stay safe. Listen to your local officials. Try to keep yourself safe and dry as best you can. I hope this video helps. This is, again, just some suggestions and representations of some of the things you might need to grab at the last minute before a hurricane hits, and stuff that will help you out to ride out a hurricane. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out our Amazon links down below. Whatever's in that store, you can shop and buy. If you don't like anything in the store, just click the link and shop like you normally do. Helps us out here on the channel, helps us bring more cool gear to you. And don't forget to check out our Thrive Life link down below that one. That has a ton of freeze-dried food, all the different types of stuff you might like with freeze-dried food. Anyway, thanks for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.